So good morning. Should we get started? Kind of hard to be inside right now, isn't it? I thought about doing it in the yard, but I don't know. It's it's weird when you do poses and then you look up at the sky and it's so big and it's like, ooh. It's fun though. We'll have to try that sometime. Yeah, it is a soft landing. Yep. Well, we're up to agreement number 3 this week. And agreement number 3 kind of goes hand in hand with 2. So just to review, first one is be impeccable with your word. Second one is don't take anything personally. And so this one is don't make assumptions. And this is a big one for me too. Especially with my family, I assume that they know what I'm thinking and what needs to be done and all that. But a lot of times they don't. So it's a really good one to embrace. So we have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally. Then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our word. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole war of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. So, because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. It is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption because assumptions set us up for suffering. The big fog in human mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. And you guys know this to be true if you have kids. We don't perceive things the way they are. We have the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. We literally dream things up in our imagination. Because we don't understand something, we make an assumption about the meaning, and when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops, and we find out it was not what we thought it was at all. So I'll go on a little more about it, but even in the night, if you wake up and you start thinking about something and assuming that this is the way it is or this is going to happen, if you just remember that agreement and say, oh, I'm not going to assume, I'm just going to let that go right now, sometimes it helps. And so think about that. Close your eyes. You can probably assume that your breath will be there. So just notice it and appreciate it. Feel your spine lengthening. You can probably assume that your heart is still beating. Let's see if you can feel it this morning. Please bring hands to heart center. When we don't take things personally, when we don't assume what others are thinking, it's much easier to notice the beauty and the grace in others and truly in ourselves as well. Please lower your hands, open your eyes. I thought we'd start on our backs with our belt. So go ahead and find your belt and lay down. And when you get on your back with your knees bent, your feet under your knees, just do a few really small cat-cows. So press into your tailbone and make a cow pose. And then go the opposite direction. Press the low back down, cat. Very subtle. Just moving with your breath. Check in with your low back. We've all thought about working in the yard, whether we have or not. It's hard not to with this nice weather. Good. And then pause that place in the middle where you feel connected and long in your spine, and just bring the belt around your right foot. And reach up as high as you can and just hold it with your right hand. And then extend your left leg. And you might have to back off a little bit when you extend the leg. Keep both feet active and then just flex and point a few times. Warm up the calf, the hamstrings. You might have to keep a baby bend in your knee. That's okay. Depends on how open you're feeling this morning. Good. And then bring your left arm out to the side to kind of help you balance. And I want you to keep the right hip crease moving towards the back so it's moving towards actually the front, towards me. As you bring the foot off to the side, you might have to bend the knee slightly. I always do, it feels better. And just bring it down to a place where you don't feel like your left leg is coming up at all. And just take a few breaths there to see, maybe it goes a little further. The feet are both really active. And then bring it back up to center. Switch hands, bring your right arm off to the side. And don't let your right hip lift. Keep it the same and just bring the foot across. And you'll feel a little achy in that IT band. Doesn't go very far for me. It's just 12 inches or so. but you definitely feel something, right? Good. And then go ahead and lift your right hip up and bring your leg across for a little twist, and you'll feel it in your right hip as well. Try to keep the right shoulder down. Oh man, that feels good. And then come on back up. Once you have that foot up high, grab both ends, bring your left foot up and switch. Extend the left leg if you want. Hold it with the left hand to begin. Think left hip crease stays where it is. Right leg grounds you. Point and flex a few times. Just a little pressure just kind of intensifies the stretch somewhat. And then neutral position with your foot, bring it off to the left. I like to bend my knee slightly. Feels better. And just go to a spot where feels like your right leg's still grounded. Everything, your core is neutral, not rotating to the left at all. Just your leg in the socket. Feel all those muscles and ligaments kind of stretching out. And then coming back up. Stretching the IT band. Make sure your hips are still square. And then bring the foot across. You can switch hands. I forgot that part. Oh, yeah. There it is. Try and lengthen your spine a little bit more. Keep a baby curve in your low back. And then bring it all the way across and let your left hip lift up. Keep the left shoulder down. You have to have open hips to do yard work too. And then slowly come on back. Remove the belt. And come up on your elbows and then your hands. And bend your knees. Lean back a little bit. Keep your heart lifted. Keep that nice long spine. Lift your legs. And then see, do you feel strong enough? You can use your arms too. Navasana. It's a harder transition. And then cross your legs and come to a seated position. You can adjust so that your sits bones stay back. And let's just do a little side stretching. So bring your right arm off to the side. Think long spine and arc. Ooh, crack, crack. And then switch. And then fold forward. Sometimes this feels really good on the low back as well, but it's also a hip opener. Good, come on up, switch the shin that's in front, which feels really strange because we're so used to one way, and then we'll do that again. Side stretch. And switch. And then fold forward. And come on up. And come to all fours. And just do some regular cow cats now. Feel like you're pulling your hands and your knees towards each other in cow and maybe pressing them apart in cat. Get that feeling, spread the weight. And then pause with the flat back, extend the right leg, bend the knee, and now the hips stay level, but you're gonna move to more like a cow pose. So you're lifting the knee, the foot, and the head. Pull the hands and the knee towards each other. Good, and then round to cat, and as you do, bring the knee towards your nose. And do that 2 more times. Remember to hug your left hip in as you do this. Hips stay square. And then lower the right knee and take a child's pose for a moment. And just let your hands relax. And then we'll come on up for the other side. So neutral spine, then the left leg. Keep really strong and long in the core, bend the knee. And then move into that cat, more cat position, just real subtle. And then round. I meant cow, and this is cat. 2 more times. You're going, what? That sounds hard. And look, notice the difference between sides. Good, and then bring that knee down, keeping the toes curled under. Sit back on your heels if you can, all the way. Oh, my toes are a little funky after going barefoot all weekend. Yeah, take off a layer if you want to. Good, and then come forward again. And step your right foot forward between your hands. You might have to step that a little further. Hands on either side. Hug heel to knee, knee to heel. Stretch up Anjane Asana. Stretch that hip out. Hip crease. That feels good after all that we did. Touch down. And we'll switch. Left foot forward. Press that foot down. Stretch up Anjane, hug heel to knee. Keeping the hips square. Lengthen up. And then touch down. Step your right foot forward and come to a forward fold. And just kind of feel that out. And then come all the way up to standing. You can roll up if you want to. We're just going to practice some garudasana arms. So bring your arms forward, bend the elbows. Now just stack your right elbow on top of your left. And then you can either hug your shoulders, bring the backs of your hands together, or if you feel like it's in your wheelhouse, you can bring the palms together. You'll feel more of a stretch on your outer shoulders. Now keep both sides of the body long. Keep the clavicles broadening a little bit. Feel a nice stretch between your shoulder blades. And then just kind of tuck the chin and bring the elbows down a little bit just to really stretch out the back. Good. And then come back up, lengthen up, maybe even lift elbows a little bit. You can move side to side just a little bit, just kind of stretching them out. Good. And then release. Stick it out and switch. So now you're going to stack the left elbow on top of the right. And whatever works for you. If this is the best, that's fine. Back the hands or wrap. I always feel like I'm hugging my elbows towards each other. And I have to notice, do I have a lot of length in the side of the body, or am I scrunching up one side or the other? And then just kind of broaden the clavicles, feel a stretch between the shoulder blades, and then round down just a little bit. And then come on back up, lengthen, press the elbows together. Good. And then release. Whew. Stretch your arms up. And fold forward again. Pranam. And fold. Now, if you're wanting to use blocks, you can. I'm not going to use them today. I just feel a little bit looser. I did this yesterday, but I'm going to step my left foot back to a deep lunge. Lower the back knee again. We just did this. And come upright, Anjane position. Stretch your arms up. And this time we're going to add those garudasana arms. So it feels weird with your legs apart like this. So bend the elbows. Stack your left elbow on top of your right. And then whatever position you're in, hug to the midline. Maybe lengthen up. So it feels a little bit like cat. Notice the sides of the body have to stay long. Otherwise you'll feel a crunching somewhere. And then hug down a little bit. Keep broadening the clavicles. And come back to neutral and unwind. Lift the back knee. This time step back to down dog. You can lose the blocks if you want to. And just stay for a moment here. Pedal the knees a little bit. Walk your doggy. Come forward to plank. Pause there. Check in. And then lower down to the mat. You can lower knees first if you need to. Stretch the feet long. Hands right under elbows. Hug them in. Lift to cobra. Just lengthen the spine. Just notice. I always get a little chiropractic adjustment. Good. And lower down. Push back to all fours. Lift the knees. And come to downward facing dog. Now listen carefully. You're just going to bend your right knee. You're going to swivel your left heel towards your right foot a little bit and ground it down. So you can ground it down and then just press through your left foot. Keep your shoulders square. You're going to feel a nice stretch on the outer hip. Good, and then come back to neutral and switch. Left knee bends, right heel swivels in to ground it down, and then press back with that. All four corners of that foot grounded. Feel it in the outer hip. Good, come back to neutral. Extend the left leg and step it through to deep lunge. If it gets caught halfway, just help it up there. Lower the back knee. Hug to the midline. Come on up. Anjane Asana. Notice length and connection in the core. So the rib cage is drawing back. Bend the elbows. Stack the right elbow on top of the left this time. Garudasana arms, which means the eagle pose. Lengthen up. Lift the elbows. Lift the chin. Round down. It just feels weird in this position, and then unwind and touch down. Lift the back knee, step back, downward facing. And come forward to plank. And lower to the mat. Rib cage back, long spine, cobra. If you can lengthen your spine even more. And lower down. And this time push all the way back to child's pose. And come up on fingertips. And check in. Don't make assumptions, but everything's gonna be where it should be. Just kind of check it out. Good. Ground your hands down. Come on up to downward facing dog. And step your feet towards your hands. Come to a forward fold. And just remembering how it felt when you had the belt on your feet. See if you can get that same feeling of connection through all four corners, really grounded through the feet. These may or may not be all the way straight. It's fine if they aren't. And I was playing around with this the other day. Come up more like a pranam, a little bit, just up on your fingertips. Turn your left foot slightly out. Keep the right foot grounded and walk your hands kind of to the side. Lengthen them out a little bit. Yeah, that feels good, right? Come back to center, straighten the left foot out, and do that with the right foot. So turn it out. Kind of gets into that left. Keep the left foot really grounded. And then come back to center, straighten the foot out. Step your right foot back first to a deep lunge. And then ground that foot down. And bring both hands to the inside of your left foot. And just notice your legs and your knee and toes point the same direction. And then just walk your hands out for a down dog lunge. Press the right foot down even more so you really feel grounded through that leg. A little stretch there. And then walk back in. Lift the back heel. Step back, downward facing dog. And bring your knees down. Stretch your toes straight. And sit on your heels if possible. If your knees are giving you issues, you can put a blanket behind them. Just notice, press all 10 toes down. Want your knees to feel really good. So toes point straight back. You can see if they do. Feet press down. You want to, you can move back. And then come forward and make your way to downward facing dog. Mindfully placing your hands, grounding all parts down. And then a vinyasa again. So forward to plank, lower to the mat, cobra, lower, downward facing dog. Extend the right leg and step it through to a deep lunge. Ground the back foot down. May not be parallel to the back of the mat, but it's, you know, close, I guess. So you can really ground through all parts. Bring the hands to the inside of the right foot. So maybe you're 30 to 45 degrees from your right leg. Make sure the knee stays bent. Mine was straightening out. Walk out, down dog, lunge. Oh. Feel that left foot really grounding you. And then walk the hands back in, turn the back heel up. And please step forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, pranam. Exhale, fold. And inhale, sweep up and rise. Stretch your arms up. And bring hands through heart center. Let's keep going. So inhale, stretch up. Exhale, fold. Pranam. And fold. Put your left foot back first this time. Ground it down. And come up to a warrior two position. So you can windmill up. Just check your alignment. You want your knee above your ankle. Good. Add your arms. Bend your elbows. Make sure your knees tracking straight. If you can still see your big toe, then it is. Keep long side body, really engaged core. And then bring your left elbow on top of your right. Garudasana arms again. And remember that you're kind of trying to face the middle. Keep both arms really long. Lengthen up. And a little deeper. Beautiful, you guys. I get you to stop thinking about your legs for a moment. Extend your arms again, warrior two. Reverse it. And then windmill down. Turn the back heel up. Step back, downward facing dog. Walk your dog out. I'll give you a choice. You can do vinyasa with me, or you can take child's pose. So come forward to plank. You're doing vinyasa. Lower. See how slow you can go to the floor. Stretch your feet, lift to cobra. And exhale down. Downward facing dog. Bend the left leg and step it through deep lunge. It's a little easier if you're on the blocks, but it's okay. Ground the back foot down, windmill up, warrior two. And just take a moment. Right hip crease stays back. Really grounded through all four corners of both feet. If I look at my front knee, I can still see my big toe because it's tracking straight. Good. Bend the elbows, bring them towards each other. Stack right elbow on top of left. Garudasana arms. See if you scrunched up one side body or the other. See if they're supported on both sides of your shoulders. Hug the elbows together. One more breath. And then extend the arms again. Feel grounded through all parts of your feet. Your arches are lifting. Reverse it. And then windmill down, turn the heel up. And step forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, pranam. Exhale, fold. And inhale, sweep all the way up. Bring hands to heart center. So now, keeping that length in the side of your body, see about reaching back with your hands and maybe even interlacing them. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. I want you to keep length, keep connection, keep the clavicles broadening, but you feel support. Feels like the shoulder blades move towards each other. Good, now slowly bend forward, bring the arms with you. Don't let anything change. Lengthen the back of your neck a little bit. Lengthen through the top of your head. Maybe turn to the left just so slightly twist to the left and then twist to the right. Good, release your hands and step your right foot back again, deep lunge. Find length, find connection, come up to crescent warrior. Stretch your arms up. Bend your elbows, stack your right elbow on your left. And do whatever variation of garudasana arms you want. Keep the hips square. Unwind, stretch the arms up. And please touch down. Step back, downward dog. Come forward to plank. You can do child's pose if you're feeling that. Lower, cobra. And lower, downward facing dog. Extend the right leg and step it through. Deep lunge. If your heels and your sits bones line up as you come up for crescent, you can do it in parts if you want. Length of side body, rib cage is back, bend the elbows, stack the left elbow on the right. Garudasana arm. See if you can stay stable. Hug the elbows apart, lengthen up. Good, unwind to crescent. And please touch down and step forward. Inhale, pranam. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Hands to heart center. Close your eyes for a moment. Do you notice your breath? Do you notice your heartbeat? Good. Keeping your hands at heart center. Open your eyes. Sit back to chair pose. And a little deeper. Fold forward. Uttanasana. Step back, downward facing dog. And take a child's pose. And come right back up, downward facing dog. Extend the left leg, step it through, deep lunge. Ground the back foot down. Bring the right hand to the hip, either left elbow to the knee or, I don't know, you're feeling open enough. You can keep it right where it is. Keep that right hip crease moving back, left hip crease moving back, hugging the feet, and come to Parsvakonasana. And reach down, touch the floor, turn the heel up, step back, down dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower. Downward facing dog. Down the right leg, step it through, deep lunge. Ground the back foot down, left hand to the hip. Open up, Parsvakonasana. Got lots of cracking going on today, but feels good. Press that back foot down, lengthen through the top of your head. Good. Cut down, turn the back heel up, and step forward. Uttanasana. Inhale, pranam. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up. hands to heart center and release. Good. So probably guessed where we've been building up to. So let's do garudasana. I'm going to do it with a block because it's better for me if we do it with block, but you can do it without if you want. So garudasana is the eagle pose. So I'm going to have you stand on your right foot and bring the block outside your right foot if you want. Good. And then bend both knees so you feel really fluid. Keep the hips back. Think rib cage is back. And then I always bring my hands out for balance. And then lift the left knee. Lift it as high as you can to bring it across and stack it. And then your block's there if you need it. Hug your legs towards each other, square up your hips. And then you're going to bring the left elbow over the right and wind. See if you can feel stable enough that you can round down a little bit. Feel the length in both sides of the body. And then lift up. And lift the knee, unwind. Yay. Switch sides. Just like I said, you don't have to use the block. I just really like it now because I like to find stability, and then I can play with lifting the toes up if you need to. So bending both knees. Feel the strength of your core. Lift the right knee, bring it across. Sit deep. And then your right elbow will be underneath your left. Square the hips to the front. Draw the low belly up. Hug to the midline. Round. Right hip crease stays back. Lengthen up. And lift the knee and unwind. Woo. Well done. You can move the block off to the side and come on down to a seated position. Bring your feet slightly wider than your hips and flex the feet. This should feel good on your shoulders, and it's a different way to get that stretch. Bring your right hand off to the side. Reach across with your left hand to the little toe side or ankle, whatever works. Tuck your chin, draw your sternum back, and then just step on the gas with your left foot and stretch out that right shoulder. And you're going to feel it from the shoulder all the way down to your pelvic bone. Yeah. Sorry, did I say right? It's my right because I'm mirroring you. And then come on up and switch. That feel lovely? Yeah. Try and keep centered. Step on the gas. Stretch it out. Think long side body. Really get into those deep muscles. And then unwind. Bring both hands behind you. Ground your feet down. And kind of lift your heart. So we can do windshield wiper, but in a seated position, it feels a little different. So just lower your right knee towards your left ankle. You may not be able to go as deep as you do laying down. Just notice it. And then switch. You want to be really mindful with your knees. And switch again. And last time. And then coming on back up, bring your hands behind your knees this time. And lengthen up and come on up to Navasana. You can keep your hands there if you want or not. And then thinking of long side body on the sides, just around the upper back and slowly lower legs and arms and torso. Go as slow as you can. Hover and lower all the way down. Ah. Good. Bend your knees. Feet right underneath. Legs off. And set up for Setu Bandha or bridge pose. And go ahead and lift on up. Lift your heart. See if you can just feel the heels with your fingertips. Maybe even interlace the hands underneath you. Press the hands, the arms down. Hug the feet towards you. Good. And release. Hug your knees in towards your chest. As tight as you can and roll side to side. Kind of massage the low back. Good. And then bring the shins parallel to the floor and the knees away from you a little bit. Bring your arms to cactus for a moment. And then stack your right knee on top of your left knee. And then widen your feet a little bit. So you feel. And then reach your hands up to the shins or the ankles. Keep widening. Press the shins into your hands as you resist with your hands. Lay your head and chest back down. This is called longhorn pose. If your head and chest can. You can move your hands up higher if you want to. Keep your feet super active. If you can find a baby curve in your low back, you'll feel this in your right hip a lot. Keep the hips square, long spine. Good release. Switch. Left knee stacks on top of right. Widen the feet. Flex the feet. Lift to find the shin with your hands. Press up as you resist. Lower back down, lengthen. Maybe find a little curve, longhorn pose. Good, and unwind. Hug your knees in again. Find the tops of the kneecaps. Press them long so your arms are full length, your feet just dangle. Roll side to side. Bring the feet flat again. Can you reach a block? Sorry, I should have told you that earlier. Reach a block. Feet under knees. Setting up for Setu Bandha, either I'm going to have you do it on the block because it's very restorative feeling. So either low height or medium height, or if you're really open, you can do tall height. So press into your feet, lift your hips enough that you can slide the block right under your tailbone. And you'll know if it's in the right place if your back feels nice and long. And then just lift your right foot and see, oh, does that still feel good? And then lift your left. And then if it feels good, lift both knees. Rib cage is back. So you're not just letting go there, you're feeling connected, and maybe extend your legs. You're late, Artie. Where you been, girl? That feel good? You can point and flex your feet or rotate your ankles if you want. Bring your hands kind of to either side of the block so your arms are full length. And then see if you can just bring that feet over the head for plow pose. Or a variation there of maybe they don't come down, maybe they come a little wider each side. And then slowly roll back down. See if you can end up on the block again. Oh, and lift your heart as you transition back. And bringing the feet down. How did it go? I've never done that before. I just pulled that out of me. But it kind of felt nice to lift from the block. Lift up enough that you can slide the block out now. Bring your arms to cactus, soles of the feet together, knees open wide. Notice how open your shoulders feel, hopefully. How open your hips feel. Artie, what are you doing? I'm sitting. Good, and then slowly close the knees and stretch out for a well-deserved Shavasana. And don't make assumptions that your spine is in the best position. So you might have to get the shoulder blades underneath you. Just kind of look from within and see what feels the best for you. It's okay to wiggle around until it gets comfortable. And then just settle in, breath. As you settle in, I just wanted to share a little bit more about the third agreement. Take a moment to really do a body scan and get totally relaxed. Let your mind get totally Relax. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think. We don't have to say what we want. They're going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. Again, we make the assumption that the other person knows what we want. A whole drama is created because we make this assumption and then put more assumptions on top of it. Very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct. Just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. If others tell us something, we make assumptions. And if they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. Even if we hear something and we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means and then believe the assumption. We make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. These assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreement to communicate this way. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. This is the biggest assumption that humans make. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. That is the way the human mind works. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I'm able to do this. You make this assumption, for instance, then you discover you aren't able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and to answer them. Perhaps you need to gather more facts about a particular situation, or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often, when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things you don't like about that person. You lie to yourself just to make yourself right. Then you make assumptions, and one of the assumptions is, my love will change this person. But this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means we don't really like them. Of course, if you decide to live with someone, if you make that agreement, it is always better to make that agreement with someone who is exactly the way you want him or her to be. Find someone who you don't have to change at all. It's much easier to find someone who is already the way you want him or her to be instead of trying to change that person. Also, that person must love you just the way you are, so he or she doesn't have to change you at all. If others feel they have to change you, that means they really don't love you just the way you are. So why be with that someone if you're not the way he or she wants you to be? We have to be what we are, so we don't have to present a false image. Just imagine the day that you stop making assumptions with your partner and eventually with everyone else in your life. Your way of communicating will change completely, and your relationship will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Make sure the communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Find your voice to ask for what you want. By making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed. Magic will just happen in your life. beginning. Transition back. Take a moment to really feel your breath. Maybe feel your heartbeat. Begin to move small waves. Draw your knees up to your chest. Roll to the side. Transition on up to seated. Bring your hands to heart center. Namaste. Thanks, guys. Have a fabulous Tuesday and enjoy the sunshine. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Lisa.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.